If I have learned anything from being a parent, it is that if you give your kid an inch, they will take a mile. And this is the time that Triple H and Nick Kahn are the parents of the WWE audience. And during WrestleMania week, they took the time to exclaim to the entire world about how they were the strict parents in the wrestling world, and that we were the little children, and that the strict parents were going to make the rules going forward. And here we are, just a couple months removed from WrestleMania, and guess what? Mommy and Daddy were a bunch of pussies. Mommy and Daddy couldn't stand up on their own 2 feet long enough to make grown-up decisions. They were too scared to stand behind what they said during WrestleMania week. It was a stupid decision, albeit, but it's a decision they made to tell the wrestling world that they were the big bad bosses of WWE. And what did they do? This last week, they gave an inch, but instead they gave up a mile. WWE fans now realize that just like Tony Khan, who I've criticized in the past, who walks back on decisions when the fans begin to get loud, we now know WWE is just as sheepish. And this isn't a bad thing. This is just a realization, and we have to be honest with ourselves. But at least when Tony Khan does it, he's open about it. He says that the fans spoke. I have to do what the fans want. When Triple H tries to, really doesn't even try to, when Triple H walks something back, he almost tries to fold it into the storyline like it was something clever that he came up with. He instead of being the big bad bully, Triple H has to walk back with his tail between his legs. Bitch, we weren't born yesterday, Triple H. We know what happened. Talk about enjoy the story. Enjoy the story, my ass, Triple H. The only thing that I'm enjoying right now is the fact that you had to walk back on the tough guy act because you realized that this new age wrestling booking mentality is failing. It cannot be strictly about making money. So WWE brought back R-Truth because it's what the fans wanted. Now, this is the problem. This is the old Triple H switcheroo. This is the old I've got to put my stamp on everything. Triple H did bring back R-Truth, but he didn't bring Truth back as Truth. No, he brought him back as Ron Killings. Mark my word, casual wrestling fans, Ron Killings is not going to work. The world fell in love with R-Truth. It was the character, it was the shtick, it was the gimmick, and now you're going to come out and have R-Truth cut off his hair, which is cool, right? We're going to change the look. But what Triple H is about to do, Triple H is about to give Ron Killings 15 minutes of spotlight because this is Triple H and TKO's clever way of showing Ron Killings failing and then being able to go, see, it never worked. You guys were actually wrong. R-Truth can't be pushed. This was a clever play by TKO and Triple H to try to appease the fans and make the fans believe we gave you what we want. You just don't know what works. The reality is that R-Truth should have stayed R-Truth, and he should have been the guy to come back full circle and dethrone John Cena at the end of his run. That is what people actually wanted. If you had real balls, Triple H, you would have re-signed R-Truth, let him sit on the shelf, let the kind of anger fester within the wrestling community, and then bring him back at the right time. Bring him back to take out John Cena. This was not part of the story. This was panic moves. This version of R-Truth, this Ron Killings, is not going to work. WWE is in as much trouble as they were last week. They've just prolonged the kind of meltdown. They put some band-aids on the boo-boos, and they keep playing this mental gymnastics game where they try to feed us bullshit. But in fact, they didn't fix anything. In fact, like I said, they prolonged a plan to cut guys loose on the roster. And if it was all a work, right? This was all a big work, Triple H. So I expect to see Valhalla and Carlito still have jobs as well. Because the reality is, it's kind of bullshit to fire certain people to make storylines feel more authentic. The reality is, you made a big mistake, and since you tried to lay your dick on the table during WrestleMania and talk about how tough you and Nick Kahn are, the reality is you guys had to walk this back, and you guys don't know how to sincerely just walk something back. That's the reality.